Today's Yom Kippur story I've heard many places, but it's adapted from the Barefoot Book of Jewish Tales by Shoshana Boyd Gelfeld. There was a boy named Natan who loved letters. Every day in Hebrew school he would sit drawing the alphabet, cutting the letters out of paper, and otherwise celebrating the beauty that the shapes made on the page. However, he couldn't seem to fit the letters together to make words. His teacher sighed and talked to his parents. He loves the letters so much. He's so sweet and gentle, but he can't read and he can't write. He might memorize a few of our prayers, but if he can't read and write, he'll never be able to read from the Torah or have a bar mitzvah. I don't think he's doing well in this class. So his parents took him out of school and had him watch the family sheep. And every day, as he watched the sheep, Natan would sit outside and watch the clouds and imagine them in beautiful shapes of letters. He drew them in the dirt and sketched them with leaves and twigs. When he turned 13, all the other children had bar mitzvahs. But Natan didn't know how to read from the Torah, so he couldn't have one. So life went, with Natan similar to the other children, but not really in the same place as they were, until Yom Kippur came along. Everyone donned their white robes and went to synagogue and prayed and fasted. The rabbi talked about how everyone needed to apologize for all the wrong things they had done all year and ask God's forgiveness. Natan sat with his family, but had no prayer book to read out of and wouldn't have been able to read it if he had. He sat silently staring ahead while everyone prayed. Since he didn't know the prayers, he finally went to the back of the synagogue. There he saw some old newspapers that were used for kindling the fire in the mornings. There was also a pair of scissors, and he started clipping and clipping away, cutting them into the shapes of Hebrew letters. Now it's true, cutting, writing, and drawing are not permitted on Yom Kippur, but nobody saw him there in the back, cutting out his letters. At last the time came for the Ne'ilah service to end Yom Kippur. As everyone rose to say the final prayer, they heard a loud clatter at the back of the synagogue. Natan had dropped the scissors. Everyone stared at him, and they saw the pile of paper cuttings at his feet. Here he is with his paper cuttings. Natan, his father yelled, "What are you doing? It's the holiest day, and you've been cutting paper instead of praying to God for forgiveness. How could you break our rules that way?" Natan's mother, her face bright red, went to take away his scissors. But the rabbi called, "Wait. Each of us prays in our own way. God asks us to reach out from the depth of our soul, however we do that, however we speak. Whether we speak with our hands, or we speak with our hearts, or we speak by cutting out paper, God can still hear us." And he turned to Natan and said, "Come. You've come to pray just the same as we have. Offer your prayer beside us." Natan smiled and threw his letters up into the air. However, instead of falling to the ground, they hovered there, and in the air they formed themselves into words and sentences and beautiful prayers. Everyone read them together, and Natan was leading the congregation in prayer without saying a word. At last the sun set, Yom Kippur had ended, and the letters all fluttered to the floor. Miracle had ended. They were just newspaper again. Afterwards, one of Natan's friends asked how he'd done that, and Natan just shrugged. I didn't know. I didn't know how to pray, so I made the letters for God and hoped God could form them into the prayer he most wanted. It seems he did. The rabbi smiled. Yes, everybody offers prayer in the way that they best can, in the language they know, using the words that they have. You offered these letters through love, and God accepted them. Clearly, any prayer from the heart is the most real of all.